Every day you can have festival. But is every day ours a Vijayadashami? Sometimes up, sometimes down. Kabhi khushi, kabhi gum. Kabhi khushi, pura gum. And with this happiness swing and the swinging between happiness and sadness, there is a time relapse. Usually, when there is a pendulum, have you played with the pendulum? With multiple marbles in the same line, you take 3 on this side and drop, and the 3 on the other side rise. You have done those things, right? You've seen at least. Okay, good. So whatever is the displacement on this side, from the center point, the displacement is equal on the other side. So if being in a mid path, being in balance is the middle norm, then happiness is on one side, sadness is on one side. So the mind which is swinging, how does it feel though? So the way we look at it is, we remember mostly all the sad things, and we tend to even evaluate that sadness is more and happiness is less. In fact, what actually is happening at a psychological level, that the pendulum, say it is going towards happiness, the mind is going towards happiness, it goes fast. And when it goes through the sadness, it is like the slow motion Bollywood scene where everything is like, right, nothing stays, everything moves. It seems like a very slow motion. You're getting the point? It swings on both sides, but we tend to remember this more because our indulgence in that sadness and maintaining that sadness is heavier. Why is it that our life is not a Vijayadashami even on Vijayadashami? Let alone talking about making everyday Vijayadashami. First, let's start with making Vijayadashami truly a Vijayadashami. And whenever there are festivals, I am told by the kids that the family has maximum rupture, fights, and tensions on festivals. Why? You have invited guests and there is a lot of pressure and there is a time, and then you have job and you're this and that, and the wireless is on its highest decibel. Do you know what is wireless? Screaming is on highest decibel. Everybody is screaming on each other. And those who are on the receiving end are also on screaming end, saying, "Why are you screaming at me like this?" And they are also screaming. Why is our life not Vijayadashami then? There is this huge factor called EGO. Have you heard of it? Daily? Full of it? Our ego is the Rakshasa. Our ego is the 10-headed monster. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara, Asmita, Raga, Abhinivesha. There's so many heads, ugly heads that it takes out. There is one form of Devi. I love that form. It's called Chinnamasta. Have you heard of her? There are two stories. One is Rakta Bijakshari. Now, Rakta Bijakshari is there was this monster that you take a swing at him, and many people tried. And the moment even a drop of blood falls, that drop of blood clones itself into that monster again. As many drops, that many it will grow. Our ego is like that. The moment you nip it at one end, 10 ugly heads rise up. In fact, even those processes that we invoke to annihilate this ego, the ego has the knack to adapt to even these processes and become egotistical about that. What is the highest act to remove this ego in the path of spirituality? The highest act, just a step before Sharanagati, is to give up, is to renounce. And those who are renouncing are technically called as sannyasis. Now, why pick on those who are in grihastha and the other facets of life? Let us pick those people who have taken a vow to renounce everything. Their ego seems to be the highest. From what standpoint? That I have given up everything. Sad, right? That process is invoked to give up, and this ego takes up, adapts itself to that process as well, and claims that I have given up so much. Who is it that is claiming again? The ego. A long time ago in India, I was traveling in a train. And it so happened as soon as I entered into that 6-seater, three facing each other, there was already a sadhu sitting. And did namaskar chamatkar. And he looked at me, I looked at him. There was a little, to break the ice. Then he said, we introduced our names. And then he said, Kaun ashram se ho aap? When the language, it seemed more of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar kind of, especially the Gorakhpuri. So the moment that language came up, I knew that this must be a Gorakhpuri Sampradaya, which is mostly on the Dvaita or Vishishta Dvaita. So in my head, it was like, I'll have lot of discussion here. I'd already made up, recognized that fact. And he says, तुम्हारे कितने भगत हैं? Because he had come with an entourage of 8-10 people. They were all over there, and he saw me walk in with a suitcase and another bag in my hand, and nobody following. तुम्हारे भगत कहाँ हैं? Where are your devotees? I said, no, I don't have any. हमारे तो हैं भाई. And then he showed. तुम्हारे एक भी भगत नहीं? You don't have even one. I said, no. कैसे साधु हो? What kind of a sadhu are you that you don't even have one bhagat? Then he said, my devotees are in there at least 11, 12 countries. I have these many lakhs of followers and devotees. And wherever I go, there are at least 10, 15 of them. And you don't even have one? And then he asked me very strangely, Sannyas mein naye ho ka? You have become a new sannyasi or what? So I said, nahi, 10-15 saal se to hai. 15 saal se ho? Like I said, I have been a sannyasi for 10-15 years. And it has been 15 years and you don't have a single devotee. Kaise Mahatma ho? What kind of a Mahatma are you that you don't have devotee? See, the point is, You have taken up that path with a vow to give up everything. And what is the pride and what is the ego that is being carried about? The number of people that follow you, the number of it felt like you know Facebook. How many people follow you? And that's the bragging point. You have taken up this path to renounce everything, and that renouncing itself becomes a bragging point. In fact, when we take sannyasa, there are very serious mantras that are to be meditated upon. One of them is yenas tejasi tat tyaja. That by which you are renouncing, renounce that one too. That individuality, that ego with which you are trying to renounce, that ego has to be renounced. But it seems like that this ego is that kind of a malicious virus, that it adapts itself to any technique that is born, even that which is initiated to annihilate the ego. It coolly adapts itself into that and starts bragging. I've seen people bragging about, how long do you meditate? Have you seen people talk about their spiritual sadhana? I meditate for 3 hours. Who knows? Are you meditating or sleeping? I do my pranayam, I do my yoga sadhana, I do my meditation, I do my puja. Morning, 4 hours I spend. When if after spending 4 hours you still brag about it, khak spend kiya. The whole thing is down the drain. So the point is it possible to live a life free of ego? Is it humanly possible to lead a life egolessly? To be selfless, is it a possibility? I have never seen a crowd so silent. Are you all meditating? So let me repeat the question while I still have those sparkling teeth open. Otherwise, suddenly. And sometimes I feel like when I ask question, the response that I see is as if each one of you is like, in India when they used to have, in preparation for marriage, when you go see the girl and the boy comes and the girl is usually, everybody is in that like, wait, तुम्हें देखने कोई नहीं आया, सर उठाओ, जवाब दो. Is it possible to live a life selflessly, egolessly? Wow.
Is it possible? It is possible.
Haji?
It is possible.
Have you ever done anything selflessly? The funny thing is, to that question, have you done anything selflessly? Any answer that you give is a wrong answer. The moment you say yes, there is somebody claiming it. Do you see the trick there? Once in King Janaka was a very smart king. And I can only visualize it is said that every member, every minister in his court was a realized master. A state, a country, a kingdom run by realized masters. Can you imagine the height of everything that was experienced by that country, by that kingdom? This must be a firebrand realized people. They were not in any seclusion. They were not in caves or forests. They were smack in the middle of running a country. To run one family, one house, we pull our hair. To run a country is not an easy job. To sit on the sidelines and comment on somebody running the country, it is very easy. To run a country, it takes its own effort. And every one of them was a realized master. So one day, King Janaka organized it in such a way that there were a heap of gold coins, 10,000 gold coins, 10,000 milk cows with their calves. And I said, 10,000 acres. 10,000 gold coins, 10,000 cows, 10,000 calves, 10,000 acres of land is to that person who will claim that he is realized. Do you see the trick in here? Because the moment you claim that I am realized, there is somebody individual who is claiming it. As long as there is individuality, it in itself is a proof that you are not realized. So it was a stalemate. It is said that Ashtavakra stepped in. He did not claim that he was realized, but instead he announced to his students, take them all to the ashram. You said it belongs to that one who is realized. I did not say that I am realized, but I am taking them. He says, go take them all and deposit them in the ashram. Because the moment you claim it, you've lost it. It's like another question that if you ask somebody, are you asleep? Are you sleeping? When the kids are still in that innocent age, it's fun playing around with them with that. Especially when they are mad. Mad at you. I don't want to speak to anybody. And they go and pull the blanket all over their head and tuck themselves in and stiff. So one family that I saw like that, and said, and the mother was getting all riled up and what? I said, most of it he does this always. She was going on. I said, let's have fun. I said, don't you think if somebody is really asleep, their left foot vigorously moves? And you can see this kid now heavily processing. Is it really true? Does it really happen? And you can see that head tilting towards one direction under the covered blanket. Maybe. And then you see that sudden movement. Because you're really asleep, you cannot answer that. But that individuality is not there. There are various conditions wherein we unknowingly, purely by mistake, perform things selflessly. At least during the act, there is no hidden agenda, expectations of whatever kind. One of the examples that I normally give is you're standing in a line for your early morning IV, coffee. And the lady in front of you pulls out the wallet, pays for it, thinks that she has put it in the purse back, and it slips and falls down. What do? Don't pick it up. I burnt my fingers recently. We were in a restaurant and with a group of Yuva Kendra members, and this fellow's wallet fell down. So I picked it up and tapped on his shoulder. I said, "Hey, yours." And he looked at me and said, "When did you flick that from me, Swamiji?" I said, "Abhay yaar, I'm trying to do a help to you and you in turn blame me." So since then, I have made a mental note that if something like that happens, you don't even deserve my picking it up and giving. Go pick it up. Is that yours? Yes, go pick it up. So you tap on the shoulders. Is that yours? Now, in that act that you have performed, is there any hidden agenda? The lady, I got you your wallet. You would just buy me a coffee, Just saying. The least that you could do. Otherwise, imagine calling all those 10 different card companies and canceling your cards and reissuing your cards, and it's a hassle. I gave it, when I pointed it back to you, least you could do, one cup of coffee. Do you have any expectations? I mean, even if you had, you wouldn't confess to them here. Usually at that particular moment when you tap their shoulder and give it back to them, there is no hidden agenda, there is no expectation whatsoever. There was an act performed, the actor was seemingly not there. There was neither a hidden agenda nor an expectation. You may come out of that situation and start bragging about it to others, adding masala, then that individuality has already cropped up. Pata hai aaj kya hua? I was in this, and this wallet is returned at Lord. You create a story there. And what is that narrator expecting now? I remember Sholay now. क्या समझा था कि सरकार तुझे अप्रिशिएट करेगा, शाबाशी देगा? Do you remember the scene? I said the name. Do you remember the scene I said? When they come back empty-handed, I said, क्या समझे थे कि सरकार शाबाशी देगा? That is what we are anticipating. Ore, you are such a noble person. You are such a great person. You are such a good-hearted one. अरे नहीं, वैसा कुछ नहीं. Act out little humility in there and feel all the way good. There that ego has already cropped up. But at that moment, there was no ego acting out. So there is a possibility where we can function without that ego cropping up. But can we do that in all walks of our life? In every interaction, is it a possibility? Do you know where this ego crops up? That which is not a part of my daily routine, that environment, that person, that individual that I don't know, I don't care. ego doesn't crop up. Where does this clumsy ego crop up? In the environment wherein I claim love, care, concern. In that environment, this ego crops up maximum. In all arguments that you have ever had with you know who. You know, right? If they're right in this hall, they must be on the right side or the left side of you. Your other half. You decide whether better or worse. In all arguments that have ever cropped up, after the argument is done, after all the sorries and everything is done, you sit back and try to analyze. What was the main reason? Isn't it because of the strong individuality, strong ego? Yes or no? That is called ego, expression of ego. It's a very small word, 3 letters. Cannot accept my fault is a bigger word. Ego is a small word. Ego. Sometimes the audacity of this individuality is so strong that somebody defined ego as edging God out. That we think that we can edge even God out. So Bhagavan, in this 5th chapter, talks about that it is not so, that living a life of selflessness is a difficult task. We have, I think, already covered till the 10th or 11th shloka in this chapter. Right? Last time? Remember? No, not last week. Last year. Last year. I have given lot of keys. And especially I remember that you are a part of such discussion. I will recollect that simple key of spiritual life if you can give me at least 3 pointers from the past. No, I'm just joking. I'm not putting you on the spot. What's that? Oh, very difficult to maintain. The bunch becomes bigger, right? And you keep losing them. Nobody dared out there to duplicate them. That is why you have to come regularly. I can only give you a key. Unless you practice it and become a master of it, it cannot become master's key. So that is your master key. I have it. I have my master key. You have to make your own master key. I also wish that you master the keys that I have given. Practice is the only key to that key. Okay. In the 8th through the 10th shloka, Bhagavan gives us various examples. He says that the 90% to 95% chunk of our life, all interactive levels of our life, there is absolutely no ego involved in it. Pashyan, Shrunvan, Sprushan, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Swashan. Where? 8th shloka. 8th, 9th, 10th shloka. Pralapan visrajan grinhan unmishan nimishan api. Is there an ego involved in breathing, inhaling and exhaling? पता है आज क्या किया मैंने? I breathe and I exhale. Is there an ego involved in there? Is there an ego involved? I opened my eyes and started seeing. Pashyan. Shranvan, to listen. Is there an ego involved? After listening, how we process and what we end up doing with it, there can be an ego involved. But purely to recognize that sound and to process what that sound is meaning, is there an ego involved? There is absolutely no ego involved. Sitting, standing, walking, is there an ego involved? Oh, in these days, I'll take back. Walking, I may, the pedometer and then posting it through your different apps on your Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Walked 15,000 steps. Big deal, man. These days, it has become a bragging point. With my hands, I was holding on to it. When you're holding something, is there a bragging there? No. There's no ego involved in any of these interactions. What topples our life upside down is that 5% where that individuality swells up so strong that the rest of the 95%, which is seamlessly flowing, gets ruined and does not even get appreciated or recognized. Things have been happening flawlessly. Shh, don't disturb. I have just had food, I'm digesting. Work in progress. Do not disturb. क्या कर रहे हो? Digesting. Is there an ego involved? No. Pralapan, Visrujan, Grinhan, Unmishan, Nimishan, Napi. All these various interactions through the organs of perception, action, and the internal organs, there is absolutely no ego involved. That is exactly what Bhagavan is trying to say. That where you are involved is only 5%. That 5% we are not able to take care. Imagine if these involuntary were given as a job. ऐसा सोचो ना. But those are involuntary, those are they happen, What if that were given as a chore to be completed? We would not have survived the next moment. Why? While breathing, I forgot to digest. While digesting, I forgot to breathe. टुपक क्या हो गया? चलते चलते यूं ही मर गया. These are not titles of any movie. So how to take care of that other 5%? That is the discussion, and 11th shloka has a amazing marker which we will start from next week. Yes, sir. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Without thinking, just seeing, the ego can start. Exactly. If you truly think, then that becomes the platform for eliminating ego. We don't think. We think that we think. We only brood. A good one. If you think, ego will not be there. Man, everybody is like overflowing. Do you speak Tamil? Jnana Param. I had to say it. I don't know how to translate it for the rest of you. I just teased him. Laughs.
You open your eyes, you see something, and you think about, wow, I'm so gifted, God is giving me this sight. Is that an ego or not? About God giving me that opportunity to see that.
Then you have started walking the path of surrender. Surrendering that ego is what is happening in that act of yours. Okay, now I have to really rush to my next class, which is all the way in the other corner. Let's go. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.